And good day, boys and girls, golfers of all ages. It's Pro Golf Talk Live right here on thegolfdirector.com. I'm George Honeycutt, and with me, Dr. Grind, Al Cloyd himself.
Good
my
morning.
brother from a different mother.
You can't beat it. Stick
No.
club, pole, or ball bat.
I can't quite handle without the hat, bud. I'm
That's
sorry.
it, man. I'm
the
telling
hat. I need the
I
hat.
just don't know how to act. I mean, it's just,
You're tired of our producer. Pull the hat up. We can't see your eyes. That's what it is.
as soon as I come through the door this morning, have you got a hat on? Nah, I don't.
Nah, yeah, we're good.
Nah, we're good.
Hey, bud, Memorial, one of our favorite times of the year up at Muirfield and, of course, just outside of Columbus, Ohio, Dublin, Ohio. But it is Jack's place, and this year the honoree is Johnny Miller. I was quite surprised, but then again, when you sat and listened to the presentation made yesterday naming him as the honoree for this year, you realize just how close of a friendship that Jack and Johnny's had over the years. And it was quite tearful.
Right.
Johnny Miller several times had to wipe the tears away. And but Jack and Barbara Nicholas, they did a marvelous job. Again, the golf course is in spectacular shape. The whole grounds crew up there, they keep that place just in immaculate shape. I've had I've just been fortunate to have the opportunity to play there a couple times, and it's one of my favorite tracks. And, of course, the pros, they enjoy it because of the way that Jack prepares the golf course and the way that they're treated when they're in there and the hospitality.
Yes.
So, and for the Columbus area and really for the entire surrounding states of Ohio and surrounding states, the spectators are just phenomenal. They come out in groves.
No doubt.
So, yeah. So, again, they're off and running, and Hudson Swadford is at 6 under par through 14 holes. So, obviously, it's playing a little bit soft. It would have to be. They're calling for a slight bit of a chance of rain today and tomorrow morning early, and then it's supposed to be clear over the weekend. So the golf course right now, though, is obviously giving up some scores. Dustin Johnson is 5 under through 9. Russell Henley at 4 under through 11. Jason Duffner's at 4 under. Jonas Blitz, 3 under. Zach Blair at 3 under. Scott Pickney at 3 under. Tony Finau at 3 under par. And did you hear the story about Tony this week?
No, sir.
He played the tournament last week, and the Dos de L'air, and he played the tournament last week. And on Sunday, he hit us kind of a wild drive, and it ended up hitting a young person. This individual was brought by his parents. Evidently, they lived about 100 miles away from the event. And on Monday, after the event, you figure the pros, they're headed to Columbus or whatever. Tony Finau takes a vehicle and goes out to that spectator's home to give that young person some trinkets of apology for hitting him with the golf ball.
And that just don't happen.
Is that not good?
That's amazing.
I
I mean,
mean,
you'll see him sign a glove, and hand it to somebody, or maybe
Yeah, Jordan Spieth just did it last week.
Yeah. Something
But
of that
Tony
nature.
Finau went out of his way logistically to visit this young man's home.
He got a heart.
Is that not good?
He's got a heart.
He goes up exponentially in my ladder.
Yeah, he just gained,
Big points.
Big points,
Yeah,
yeah.
brownie points. He gets big brownie points for that. So Tony Finau's at 3 under through 12. Kevin Streelman, Ryan Moore also at 3 under. Ben Martin at 3 under. Let's check on the Big Five. And what I mean by the Big Five, the top 5 in the world are actually playing in Jack's event.
Yep.
Jason Day, of course, who lives there. That's his quote-unquote home course. Of course, Jordan Spieth is there. Rory McIlroy is in the house. So everybody's kind of picking him.
Yep.
Including our Professor Weldon.
Okay.
So Hideki Matsuyama, which is one of my favorites right now, he is also playing in the field. So Bubba Watson is there. And, of course, we talked about Dustin Johnson. So we're seeing a lot of the Big Ten. As we went into this discussion several weeks ago, Jeff proposed the question. We know the Big Four, including Ricky.
Right.
Who is the fifth? And we never came to an agreement on who that fifth was.
No.
Or whether there even needed to be
be a fifth. That's
exactly.
it. I think 3's a good number.
3, the 3, yeah.
Yep.
Palmer, Nicholas, Player.
Yep.
So, okay. Patrick Reed's at 2 under par. Patrick Rogers is at 2. And I really wanted to, we've been talking about life coaching, and we've been talking about this and that. We had an interesting scenario here at the Memorial, Al, and the fact that we had a player, Graham Dillette, who withdrew because he had the yips chipping. He literally withdrew from the Memorial this morning because he is in such a bad place mentally chipping that he just wanted to take the time of this weekend to work on his chipping game.
Yep. It's so funny that you mentioned, chipping yips, because that's something that I, for years had never even really heard of, and then I had a good friend of mine. He, he's a lefty, and, he had putting yips, and then it eventually worked its way into his wedges, where he now has, the same with wedges. He's even gone so far as to play one-handed to try to combat it. So it's very, very interesting. It can completely devastate a player because they know they're toast once they get inside of 100 yards.
Well, I find it unique in the fact that someone although Graham Dillette is not a household known name, but he's a popular name, especially in the European Tour. I know him because of as much as we follow golf here. But for him to physically come out and voice the true reason for the withdrawal in the fact that he's got chipping woes. And that takes a lot of heart.
He's got some kahunas.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The definitely. Coconuts are there.
Yes, sir.
No doubt about it. Jordan Spieth, who is also playing this event, as I mentioned, is at 1 under par. Bubba Watson's at 1 under, and they are both through 11 holes. Jason Gore's at 1 under. So we see -6 kind of setting the pace right now, and we know that this happens just about every week unless it's a major championship. But we always have a breakout horse or two on the first few days, and then they seem to come back toward the field, and then those, the cream rises to the top.
Oh,
maybe?
Yeah.
Maybe. So, and we saw this in case in point this morning on the European Tour, and we've seen of late Lee Westwood playing well, and lo and behold, he's finishing day one in the European Tour event, the Nordia, and they're in Norway and Sweden. And, of course, Henrik Stenson's there playing in country.
Right.
So he'll be going home over the next 3 weeks. That'll be good for Henrik.
Oh, yeah.
And then he'll be back over here in the U.S., of course, for the Open Championship. But the point is we see the cream rise to the top. And lo and behold, Lee Westwood's already risen to the top. He's 2 shots behind the leaders right now. So, again, at the Memorial, it's arguably the Players is the 5th major. There's a lot of players out there on the tour, old and young alike, that maybe think that the Memorial should be the 5th major. Right. So, it just – and it's all out of respect and recognition of Jack.
Jack, yep, definitely.
And it was interesting in the presentation yesterday to Johnny, and Johnny likewise referred to this, is the greatest player to have played this game, Jack. There was no mention of Tiger. There was no mention of anything else. And it was good to see the recognition going to Mr. Nicklaus the way it did yesterday and the way it has kind of evolutionized over the last couple of years since Tiger's downfall. That, okay, Jack did some phenomenal things. They mentioned again yesterday, we've mentioned it right here on this network several times before, but not only did Jack have 18 major wins, but a total 46 majors that he finished 3rd or higher. 3rd, 2nd, or 1st in 46 major championships.
Yeah, half of that would have been a remarkable career.
Oh, God, yeah.
Quarter of it.
Yeah. A Bubba Watson would of course, he's got the 2 Masters wins, but for him to put together, let's say 6 or 7 top 3s, they would consider that a phenomenal career.
That's exactly right. Yes, sir.
46.
That's amazing.
Isn't it?
It really is.
It's hard to do the math.
It really is.
So hats off to Jack, and again, hats off to him and the entire foundation that is putting on this event. The ladies this week are also in action. And the LPGA Tour, this will be one of their 3-day events this week. They are likewise getting ready for their Open Championship. And so they are back in action, and we'll bring you up to speed totally on the outcomes of that, of course, on Golf Wrap, coming right up here on thegolfdirector.com. I mentioned the European Tour, and likewise, they are hot and going. Everybody's pretty much finished their round. There's a few last-minute stragglers that are coming in, but they all enjoy the Nordea Open, or as it referred to as the Nordea Masters. The golf course is basically in wide open land, not many trees, wind affected, up and downs, greens that are running about 14 on the stimp meter. So you really got to golf your ball because there's a lot of little hitting things and, fall offs on the greens, intermediate bunkers that you don't see from the tee box. You just hit a good striping drive. It gets a big kick in the fairway. All of a sudden you find yourself in a bunker that you didn't even see that was there. Of course, they know it's there because of their yardage books, but they didn't expect to get into there.
Exactly.
So it's a lot of fun to watch this event. It's a lot of fun. And the European Tour really tries to sponsor and support this in the fact that they're trying to bring as many marquee players to these what they call the intermediate events.
Okay.
And the Nordea Masters has now been identified as one of the last 4 qualifying events for the Open Championship or the British Open.
Okay. Yep.
So those that aren't already in the field at the British Open, they can make their way into that field and get an invitation for the British Open through this event and 3 others.
Yes. Well, that's big. That's big.
It adds to the credibility of the tournament, no doubt about it, and I'm glad they did that. So, again, we'll bring you up to speed on that. We talked earlier about the PGA Tour. Well, the Champions Tour themselves, they are likewise they are in Iowa this week, Al. They're in, central U.S., out in the heartland, and this is another spot that they thoroughly enjoy going to. Because what's amazing, when you look at a Champions Tour event on TV, you get spatterings of spectators, unless it's a major, okay,
right.
which they just had their PGA Championship just last week.
Yep.
That Rocco Mediate ended up running away with. But when you see the spectators that turn out for the Iowa event, it's pretty impressive. I mean, we're talking hundreds of thousands.
That's awesome.
And they'll be lining fairways. They'll be surrounding greens. It almost looks like a major championship, and that's because they very much appreciate professional golf coming to their area.
Yes.
And by the community stand-up and support of that, it's become a long-term relationship, and I think one that will continue for a long term.
Definitely.
So, and the Champions Tour thoroughly enjoys going out there. The food, the hospitality, in the golf course.
I really wished we would get our event back here in Myrtle Beach.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Man, I used to enjoy going down there so much. It was just an absolute blast. It was just a lot of fun.
That was when the Champions Tour actually visited the Dunes.
That's correct, yes, sir.
And they, for several years, played their tour championship there.
Yes, sir.
So that was the culminant tournament at the end of the year.
Oh yeah, I would go down there, and just pretty much camp out. I had a blast.
Well, it would be nice to see something like that, if not just a tour stop come back.
That's what I'd really,
whether it's ladies, champions, regular PGA Tour, it doesn't matter. Even web.com.
Yeah.
We had the PGA Tour Canada in here a couple of years ago. They came down for 2 events or 3 events. I forget. They actually started their season here.
Yep,
in April.
They done that back even years and years ago before that barefoot. They done that, and I got a chance, to meet a lot of the young players at that time.
Right.
So it was a lot of fun, and I used to go out and watch that. That was
If you remember, we had Mr. Tyler Light, young Tyler that came into the studio and sat with us one day.
Yeah.
Broad, just muscular, blonde-headed kid.
Yeah.
Looked like a Viking. Nordic type.
Right. Yep.
Blonde hair flowing.
Oh yeah.
He passed Q school. He got his full exemption card for the PGA Tour Canada. And they played their first event last week, and young Tyler finished tied 50th, so he made a check. And so good for him.
Yeah. God,
he only played in 6 events last year and only made 2 checks. So now he started this year off, and he's got to check the first event. So I sent him a little text and told him, said, way to go, Bubba. Make a few more putts, and that check just gets even better.
Nice. Very, very nice.
But his ball striking, man, I was watching him before he left. He went out to Texas for an interim period before he went up to start the season. But he was here at the Performance Center for 3 months or so.
Yep.
And he would come in and work with me, especially on the rainy days. I guess he had nobody else to talk to. So,
that's right.
That's why you come visit me. But to sit and watch that 134-mile-an-hour driver head speed, that's pretty impressive.
Well, the balls make a completely different sound coming off of when you got generating that much club head speed, when they leave the face, they've just got a sound that just.
And when you're blowing it into a sheet of a drywall, behind a projector screen, guess what? The balls don't last too long.
No.
He broke 3.
Yeah.
The last time he was in there.
Yeah.
They just crack.
Yep.
I've
only ever met a couple individuals that have that kind of power, but it's amazing.
Well, he's swinging at 130 miles an hour plus, and then he turns around and asks me, he goes, "You want me to go 100?" Meaning 100%. Oh. Yeah, Tyler, go ahead. Show me what you got.
Yeah.
And the amazing thing is he steps it up, and he doesn't lose a bit of balance. You don't see his head move. You don't see everything but just he knows that from that transition point whatever he feels internally here in rib cage, stomach muscles, whatever, back muscles, there's just something he picks up 15%. And lo and behold, his club head speed picked up 4 miles per hour. So it's just amazing to me.
That is.
As an amateur golfer, I enjoy, that's why
you
I'm
do.
so
you really
happy.
Do, yeah.
I'm so happy that our tours, and I won't get too long in this, but I'm just so happy our tours, and like you said, we wish something would come back for the beach area.
Big time.
Very much so. I mean, we have Sea Island, we have Savannah, the Champions Tour goes there. We have Atlanta, of course, with East Lake, and with the Champions Tour coming into there at TPC Sugarloaf.
Hilton Head's not that far down, but
we have the ladies at Kings Mill in Virginia.
Yeah.
But still, it's a drive.
It's a drive. It's a chug. I mean, and in the traffic, getting in and out of there,
Good point.
Is difficult. The average person, up here is not going to be able to make that event.
Right, right. It would be nice, and we got a lot to offer here.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
I mean, they could come here to thegolfdirector.com, and
that's it, man.
We could wear them out.
Well, hey, all we got to do is just market that end of it, and we'll have one here.
We'll have one here before long.
Piece of cake.
You think we'll have Fincham down here just signing the dotted line?
Yeah, man. He'll be right over here.
Oh,
yeah.
Let's put him and Hugh over there. I want to see that. That's like WWF. WWE. What do you call that?
Yeah.
The wrestling?
I'm not sure. I'm not big on it. But
yeah,
I know
I'm not either.
Yeah.
But whatever. All right, bud. Thanks for joining me on Pro
Thank
Golf
you.
Talk Live today. Again, the Memorial's going on. European Tour is at the Nordia Masters. The women are going to fire it up tomorrow along with the Champions Tour. So a lot of golf going on, and we'll look forward to bringing you up to speed on all the results of all that golf coming up on Golf Wrap here at thegolfdirector.com. TGD Radio and TV are produced and broadcast by the Zeus Digital Network for thegolfdirector.com. Be sure to check out our featured course pages where you'll find up-to-date information about course conditions, specials, much more. Need help with your next golfing vacation? Just call Dave. Right here at the Golf Director. You can reach us at 844-GO-GOLF-1, 844-464-6531. All of our programming is archived for listening and viewing on demand. Just click at the TGD Radio or the TGD TV tabs in the menu screen at thegolfdirector.com. You can find us on over 1
billion.
With a B.
With a B. That's right.
Devices at iTunes, Audio Realm, TuneIn, YouTube, Ustream, Roku, Catch Me, Periscope, and Blueberry. I got to put catch.me. I got to remember that. This is George Honeycutt for Al Cloyd, Dr. Grime. We want to thank you for joining us today. We want to thank Jeff behind the glass. But don't go anywhere. There's a lot more golf news and information coming up next.